What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers, something that I've talked about, really could use that scoring punch, really could use that consistent third guy that can bring it. Austin Reeves, he's just not consistent enough, and if he's your third guy, I really have my concerns about the ability to win an NBA championship, right? I do think if you get the right pieces, right, like I said, a Bruce Brown, you go get a Jonas Valanciunas or something like that, you get another key piece or two, a Cody Martin or something to kind of put around these guys, and you just have better athletes, better defensive versatility, things like that to kind of mask Austin Reeves' limitations, and you have multiple guys that can kind of provide multiple points of attack for the Lakers on both the offensive and defense side of things, then yes, I do think that you could get to that point. But right now, we're so reliant on Austin Reeves to be consistent on a nightly basis. Again, he's a very good player, but he's a role player, right? Like, how many teams would be looking for Austin Reeves to be their third best player? Not any real contenders, at least, right? I mean, I've even made the argument, which contending team would he even start on, let alone be the third guy? And again, it's not a knock against Austin Reeves. It's just the reality. Him as your third option is not great. If he's your fourth or fifth option, then perfect. So I have talked about, like getting a Zach LaVine, right? And having, imagine Zach LaVine right now in the Austin Reeves role. Zach LaVine would immediately be our best scorer, right? Just pure bucket getter. Like, honestly, he'd probably be our best pure bucket getter since Kobe, right? Like, who's been better since then, right? Like, it's just, I think that he would change a lot. But I've talked a lot about Zach LaVine, right? Now, who else is out there that can make that impact? The only other one that really comes to mind, obviously like Jimmy Butler and stuff like that, but personally, I'd kind of stay away from that. You look at Zach LaVine, concerns are like injury history, although he's been really healthy this season, and his injury history isn't as bad as people make it out to be. And then secondly, his contract, right? You have to give up all this depth and do all that stuff. Okay, well, what about like a Brandon Ingram? What if the Lakers were to grab like an Ingram? And I've talked about Ingram before, obviously, but you're just watching these games with the Lakers, you're just like, man, like imagine if you just had an upgrade. Like, forget everything else. Forget like the backups and forget all the other things. I'm not saying we don't need those things, but I'm saying just like think of how many games we've lost that we would have won if we just had that consistent guy. If we just had that guy like on a nightly basis go get you, 25-5, right? Like, again, I don't expect guys like Zach LaVine to average 30 a game when he's with the Lakers. I mean, maybe because LeBron's been more willing to kind of defer. But, Brandon Ingram, I don't expect them to average 25 a game. Like, but if he could be 18-5 like clockwork, and instead of like 5 really good games and 5 mediocre games, if he's just like 8 really good games and like 2, mediocre games, right? That's just that in and of itself is just different. But also with Brandon Ingram, right? You get you get to maintain the flexibility, right? It's more of a risk than Zach. Like Zach LaVine would just be easily plug and play, easily, right? Because he's one of the better off-ball shooters in the league. He's a guy that can get buckets. His athleticism, all that stuff, right, would just be such an advantage alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And you just like be looking at him and just go, hey, you know what you're doing in Chicago? Yeah, do that here, right? Like, don't change a thing. LeBron and AD, we'll work around you. You just keep doing you. Right? Now, maybe you could do the same thing with Brandon Ingram where it's like, no, hey, dude, you come here. What you do, that bucket getter, the guy that you do that, we'll work around you. Right? And kind of have that. I mean, I think that there could be some upgrades. And also with like Brandon Ingram, you get some size, right? You don't get as much explosiveness as you do with Zach LaVine. But Brandon Ingram, he's a guy that can hit 3 ball. He's a 3-level scorer. He can make plays. He can help rebounding. You can easily slot him at the 2. So you could go like Reeves, Ingram, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. You just got better size, better versatility, right? Now Reeves can kind of be that 4th guy. Doesn't have the pressures that he has being the 3rd guy. And then also when Austin Reeves is having those games where he's just lights out, 3 balls falling, he's able to create and get to work. Well, then now you're probably winning all those games, right? But the games where he's bad and he's just really struggling, well, you still have an opportunity to win those games because LeBron James and Anthony Davis will do LeBron James and Anthony Davis things. And now you have a guy in like a Brandon Ingram who could step in and just kind of take over. Obviously, injury issues. He had a crazy ankle injury, but he's expected to be back soon. There were even talks about the last game that the Pelicans had, if that he expected to be back type thing. So he should be returning around the corner. it's a risk, but so is all of these moves. Every trade that the Lakers could possibly make, right, are all risks, if we're being honest. All of them, right? So it's just like, to me, I'd rather take the ceiling raising risk. And you could get here's the thing, though. You could get Brandon Ingram and still go make other moves. Like, you could go get a Brandon Ingram and then still go do the Hornets trade, right? Like, so you could get Brandon Ingram and then go get like a Josh Richards or a Josh Green and a, Nick Richards, right? There we go. I was combining the two, right? So, like, you could do something like that, easily plug in, and then perfect. Now you got, another 3-and-D wing, you got another, you got your backup center, and you got that guy in a Brandon Ingram who can do a little bit of everything out there on the basketball court. I don't hate that idea, right? I just feel like getting a bunch of role guys, unless we get another 4 or 5 role guys and really just kind of flush out this roster, kind of revamp this roster, basically floor to ceiling, how do we really get to being contender, right? Like, I think like a Valanciunas or, like a Nicole, I think another like major option would be like Nikola Vucevic and like a Bruce Brown, right? Like 20-10 guy, legit, two-way guard that can defend multiple positions. Something like that might be able to be enough to push us over the top, right? But outside of that, unless you're getting like 2 high-end guys or one like all-star caliber guy and then, 2 or 3 kind of lower tier guys, are the Lakers really going to be able to take the next step? Again, it's possible, right? Like, if you were to, I talked about it, if you got, say, like an IO and like, Torrey Craig and like a Chris Dort, and then you went to Charlotte and you got like a Nick Richards, a Josh Green, and Cody Martin, right? And now you just went and got 6 guys that all are just more athletic, more versatile, two-way guys, better defense, better hustle, better energy, kind of fit around what you're trying to do more, right? Like, if you could do something like that, then sure, I think maybe, and I know that those aren't the sexy names. I know that those aren't like the LaVines or the Vu's but you need those hustle guys. You need those dirty work guys. Like, you have LeBron and AD who are going to go get you, 60 a night. You need the other guys that can spread around. So, like with Reeves, if he's going to be your third guy, I think you need to have guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith alongside them that can mask his ailments, that can fight through the screens, that can fight over the top or, get around the screens quick enough so Reeves doesn't have to keep getting hunted and scouted, right? Or you just get that ceiling raiser and you figure it out type thing. Right, that's kind of the other option. I think Brandon Ingram is one of those ceiling raiser guys. I don't like the fit as much as I do with like, say a Zach LaVine, but I do think that the risk reward is still there. If it works, right, and Brandon Ingram's great, perfect. Then you take it from there. You give him a new contract, which I don't think he's getting $40 million. If he wants $40 million, you tell him, okay, good luck, go find it somewhere, and then. I think probably around $30 million. If you could do like 4 years, $120 million, I think that's fair. I think that's right? And now you have him slotted in, and then post LeBron ends up leaving. You have Brandon Ingram, Anthony Davis, and then just go get another guy or 2 or whatever to kind of fill around those guys, and you could be in the mix. You could be in the thick of it, right? Like, so to me, I think Brandon Ingram, that risk reward is there. If it doesn't work, you're probably not winning a championship anyway, right? And like I said, unless like you can pull off kind of the 2 paths that I just mentioned, so you're probably not winning a championship anyway, though, as it stands, no pun intended, right? So to me, it's like, why not take the gamble? If it doesn't work, okay, you're in the same boat anyway. But now you have $35 million or whatever coming off your books. Right now you have his contract coming off your books, and now you don't have that concern. Now you don't have that risk of like, oh, okay, well now we're like, if Zach LaVine doesn't work, you're stuck. I understand people's. I'm confident enough that it'll be fine, but I understand people's concerns in that regard. Okay, fine. Well, Brandon Ingram, you don't have that concern. If it doesn't work, you just let him walk in the offseason. LeBron James could take 20. I mean, you could clear like 50, 60 million off your books. Literally, right? Between Brandon Ingram, LeBron's discount, vet minimum guys coming off the books, right? Like various guys, you could restructure Dorian Finney-Smith's contract in the offseason, right? So there's like, you could literally clear $50, $60 million if it doesn't work out, and then repivot and go a new direction. And, now you have your full mid-level and you have cap space to sign guys and all that stuff. You could potentially even go get Kyrie or something like that in the offseason. So to me, I like the idea of, okay, get that ceiling raiser, maintain flexibility. If it works, great, right? Like if Austin Reeves, Brandon Ingram, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, I think is good enough, at least on paper, to be one of the better teams in the league, right? Is it enough to make you a true contender? I don't know. I'd really have to see kind of the fit, how it all works and balances out. I wouldn't be shocked if it is. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers are really good, right? Especially if Brandon Ingram kind of come in, slot in, and be that, 22-5-5 guy or whatever, right? Like that would add some real value, especially because of his consistency, his ability to do so on a nightly basis, self-create for himself, create for others, right? You really need that guy. And so I do think that there is the potential there for that ceiling raiser to put you in contention status. But if it doesn't work, you still have a way out. You still have an out. So I think that there's better balance there. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of bringing in a Brandon Ingram? Do you dislike the idea? Do you think, like, no, just stick to, like, role guys, rotation guys, whatever? Because, like I said, it's not just Brandon Ingram and that's it. Right? Like, you could do Brandon Ingram and still go do several other things. I mean, if you trade for Brandon Ingram, you could still go get a Bruce Brown or something like that if you want to. Especially if like you're willing to trade Reeves, which the Lakers probably won't. You could get to like another $40 million in tradable salary at that point, right? Or probably like $25 million. But you'd be in good shape. But let me know either way down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.